The crisis was a wake-up call, a very important wake-up call. The crisis emerged not from individual greed or the oversight of regulators. The crisis actually was a symptom of the growth-based economy because it was the edge, the fragile, brittle edge of a massive financial expansion over 2 to 3 decades. And the goal of that expansion was quite precisely to stimulate consumption growth, particularly in the rich economies. And so what the financial crisis told us, that we've reached the end of that strategy, not just in material terms, in ecological terms, but actually in economic terms as well. That realization hasn't quite sunk in political terms. The dominant response was to call, as you suggested, for something built on the idea of the New Deal, which was Roosevelt's strategy in the 1930s to stimulate economic recovery. The good thing that happened, that was an opportunity that was taken, was to call for a Green New Deal, so that the investment that governments provided in order to stimulate recovery was in green technology. At least that was the idea. That is a very good idea. We should be very clear about that. Much less of it actually happened than was spoken about. So in that sense, we didn't quite take the opportunity. And we still, I think, haven't taken the opportunity to understand the systemic nature of that financial crisis. What we have to do, I think, to fully take that opportunity is to see the financial crisis as the end of our existing model and to begin to build financial prudence into our economic model, investment in clean technology into our economic model, better measures of national accounting, and in particular better measures of the assets, economic, social and natural assets on which we depend for any kind of economic security in the future. I think we need all of those things. I suppose in writing the book, I took the first thing that we need as being to see clearly, to not accept the convenient pictures of the world or our assumptions about progress as being acceptable anymore, because ultimately where they're leading us is to a point of collapse, of material collapse, of ecological collapse, of economic collapse, and when that happens, of social collapse. So we're offering our children a vision of society without hope, really. And it's been striking to me, as I've talked about the book, how much appeal it has for a younger generation. It is the younger generation who are particularly hungry to hear something different, because the story they're told is an unhappy one. It's not offering any kind of hope. And so in a way, choosing the word prosperity as the centerpiece of the book is about restoring hope. That's the roots of the word prosperity lie in the word for hope. And so hope is critical, but it's not enough. It's not enough to have blind hope. And it's not enough either to have a sort of thin, rosy optimism about the world. We have to be realistic about the need for change, and we have to clearly take action, even if it looks almost impossible to shift the existing system. Because the one thing we know is this system is destined for failure. So we need all of those things. We need action, we need hope, and yes, we need a sense of optimism that is almost deliberate. It's not about plucking false hope from the ether. It's about, actually it's the sports psychology of the football match in the last 5 minutes, when the team who is capable of winning is the one who can still believe it's possible to win. And the one thing we know from sports psychology is that if you give up at that point, you won't be on that team. You will be the team that loses. So there's a sort of pragmatic optimism, a football optimism, a sports optimism, that actually makes this surprisingly quite a fascinating, exciting time to live in.